You were on parole. And I'm going to just let you know, Mr. Rosado, this is your third consideration for parole. You were previously granted 2 paroles, and you violated both of them. And I know today's consideration is for, possession with intent to sell or dispense narcotics. So what has really changed for you, Mr. Rosado?
Police say Jimmy Rosado and Anja Robinson are both facing several charges this morning. They say officers tried to take Rosado into custody last night on Henry Street. You're taking a look at video for threats against his girlfriend and law enforcement when Robinson, who was driving, drove straight toward 2 police cruisers, narrowly missing an officer on foot before taking off. The officer fired at the vehicle.
Now, I would have played the entire news clip for you if it didn't break in the middle of watching it. And, these news agencies wonder, why are they failing so much? And maybe if they could provide a product that was usable, they wouldn't be failing. But anyways, I digress. As you heard, this man, this is his third consideration for parole. As a matter of fact, the crime that we just showed you isn't even why he's locked up here today. I mean, it is his original crime, but since being out on parole, he's committed new crimes, got another chance, committed more crimes, and they're really 2-for-1 specials. He doesn't get time added on, really. It's just kind of still falling back on that original sentence. It's all a gimmick here in the state of Connecticut, and we show that time and time again. So anyways, buckle up. Let's jump in.
Mark Rosado, 371153.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application of Mark Rosado, inmate number 371153. He is serving a sentence of 10 years, 2 counts possession with the intent to sell or dispense narcotics, 3 counts possession of controlled substance first offense, 2 counts assault second in a motor vehicle, illegal operation of motor vehicle under the influence of alcohol or drugs, a violation of probation for the underlying offense, kidnapping second, and a violation of probation, sale of hallucinogen narcotics. As of today, records reflect the full eligibility date of September 4th, 2025. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed. Shows the offender has completed the following program since being determined its most recent violation due to thoughts. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score in the SRT falls within the high range of its recidivism. Sir, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. Maybe begin.
First, I'd like to say thank you for this opportunity. Should be granted parole. It's a good question. Excuse me, I'm a little nervous, but I take full responsibility for my actions, for people I've probably hurt, if I've hurt anybody. I had time to reflect on myself since being incarcerated during these little 18 months I've been in. I've completed 3 programs. I've learned that working on myself, I had to really think about things that I want to do with myself or how to change and not try to come back or be a statistic to going out there. And granted, if I was able with the opportunity to come back to jail or anything, so gotta change my life and things that I have to do. And that starts with myself first. And people around me that I may have been around or the places I may have been. So I have to change all that in order for me to be a better person. So I guess that'll be it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rosado. So we've taken a look at what you've done to get to this incarceration, what you've done since you've been in your interview with the parole officer, and based upon that, we have some questions for you. We're going to ask those questions, and then we're going to talk about your case and give you a decision. Okay.
Okay.
And we're going to start questions this morning with Board Member Chance.
Yeah, so Mr. Rosado, you said you completed 3 programs. Can you tell me what they were?
I think one was addictive lifestyle transition support, tier 2, and new thoughts.
when did you finish tier 2?
It finishes on the 10th of next month.
Yes, so you're in tier 2, you didn't complete it.
Yes.
And what was the other one?
Addictive lifestyle transitional support group. And
Okay.
new thoughts.
That one wasn't on your OAP, so that was just another one that you took.
Yes, the new thoughts I've completed, that's on my OAP. That was on my OAP.
Right. Okay. So I was reviewing your interview with the parole officer. And one of the things that you said is that you attribute committing your current offense was due to your drug use and being ignorant. So can you explain to me what you mean by that?
Yes, basically like me using drugs is what I was doing, and that caused me to obviously support my habit at the same time. So
Using
that
drugs and doing what?
and kind of selling the drugs to support my habit. So I was
What was
doing like
ignorant about that?
said it well, ignorance like you're not supposed to be doing that. I wasn't supposed to be doing that, being that I relapsed.
Oh, so Mr. Rosado, how many times were you selling and using drugs? Because this is not the first time. I
Yes.
had a hard time keeping up with Mr. Parole Officer as he was reading your charges. So you really need to be honest about why you were doing that, what was going on with you, and why you were not working.
Well, I had a job before I came in, but obviously I came in, so obviously don't have it no more. I was working at Texas Roadhouse in Crownborough doing dishwasher. But so I used that money to get the drugs, and then I support it and then try to continue at the same time. So it wasn't the right thing to do. Something that I regret doing. I should have never did. Unfortunately, this is my consequences to it. And that's it.
You know, you were working for a restaurant and you only worked there for 4 months. Out of the last 2 years, you only worked there for 4 months.
Yes. Well,
And
I got it.
You know, you were on parole, you were selling and using drugs, and you had a legitimate job. You were on parole. And I'm gonna just let you know, Mr. Rosado, this is your third consideration for parole. You were previously granted 2 paroles, and you violated both of them. And I know today's consideration is for, possession with intent to sell or dispense narcotics. So what has really changed for you, Mr. Rosado?
This time right here, just knowing that as I'm getting older, I can't just keep doing what I was doing before. It's not working. So I have to, obviously, like I said, I self-reflect on myself how to change my life. So this right here helped me change my life, taking these programs, learning that this is not the way to keep going. I'm only getting older. I don't want to be 30-something in jail and continuously come back to jail and keep having to explain myself to you guys. Or you guys keep looking at me like this. I just had to keep coming back to jail.
You're only 32 years old, Mr. Rosado. And it seemed to me that all these convictions is what you've been doing for a good period of your life. I don't know what it is that you need that would make you not go out there and sell drugs, drink, and drive, or violate your probation, and most recently, your parole. What is it that you need? You don't have a trade, why not?
And I never completed it. So I'm trying to go to Port and Chester for electrician, but I never completed that. I left it. So
All right, I'm gonna give you a little advice. Eventually, when you get out, you can try to go to one of the vocational schools where you may not have to pay as much as what you would pay at Porter and Chester. There are all kinds of community programs that many different organizations, the states, and many different groups are trying to provide a trade for people like yourself who they think deserve a second chance. But in order to be successful at that, Mr. Rosado, you have to be honest. You have to stop not telling the truth about your crimes, and you really need to get a job that is not under the table, that gives you a paycheck, that you can pay taxes. And when you have those things going on in your life, it'll help to make you a better person. Because you're going to say to yourself, geez, I'm working and I'm paying taxes. You understand what I'm saying, Mr. Rosado?
I completely understand what you're saying, man.
Yeah.
And that's something that I'm gonna work on and I need to do. And if granted, then I'll definitely take that and do a vocational or something like a trade to change my life.
You know, I noticed you had a vocational referral on your OAP. And I'm wondering why you didn't take advantage of that. That would make you be more presentable in a positive light.
Look, I got right here this, but it says I've been on the waiting list. I tried for one of them, and it says failure to meet program must be within 6 months of your end of sentence date or your current release.
Which program?
This one's for asphalt. This one.
Okay.
So I've done that. I got it right here, and then one is a waiting list.
Okay, so hold on to it. Okay.
Uh,
I know you completed the New Thoughts program. What did you learn in it?
Basically, how to kind of change and think before you act, and try to change your thought process. So it's all about your thinking and ways of understanding of committing crimes and basically insanity. You keep doing the same thing, expecting different results. It's not gonna happen. So that program right there kind of taught me that, and it was a good program, and yeah, that's what it's taught me. So that's what I'm trying to work on. It's not easy, but I'm trying to work on it.
Right, and I'm sure there are other things within the program that the more you go back and look at the materials, the more you'll see that it can be very helpful to you. And you are currently in the tier 2, and I know you're gonna finish October 7th. So that should help you. First of all, your drug score is a 4, so you're addicted to what? Crack cocaine?
Yes. Crack coke.
Okay. And you've been incarcerated there at least for over a year, and you've only gotten 1 DR, which was for out of place. What happened there?
I was a tierman at Osborne at the time, and I tried to go back to child twice. Usually the COs don't say nothing, but one CO seen me, and unfortunately just must have been in a bad mood or something. I don't know. It just gave me a ticket for out of place. I couldn't, nothing I could do about that. I was out of place, so.
Well, I want you to continue on the positive path. And I think, you talked about so far what you learned in new thoughts and what you're getting out of tier 2. So I want you to consider to continue on that positive path. And no matter what happens here today, you're on the right path. So continue on. Okay? Good luck.
Thank you.
The chair.
Board Member Keys.
Thank you. Thank you for answering the questions so far. I know this isn't easy, but I appreciate your answers. You wanted to return to your girlfriend who did confirm her willingness. I did read though that you did admit to having 3 DVs prior, none with her, but they were with exes. Do you think, and again, none with her, with their current, but we want you to be released to the best environment that has the most chance of helping you succeed. And I'm just wondering if returning to some sort of program would provide more of a stability for you to just keep working on yourself for now, and then introduce, slowly kind of going back into living with a girlfriend or something. Do you have any concerns, or you think you have no concerns?
I mean, I'll definitely take a program to work on myself to better myself. Yes, no, I can. But as far as me and my girlfriend, we don't have really issues. Like we have a good relationship and good communication. She knows about my addiction as well. So I kind of talk to her. She kind of try to, if she says she's willing to help me if I got to get into a program or talk to somebody. Even if I thought about taking, talking to a therapist and maybe seeing if that helps with myself. You know what I mean? Trying to figure out, maybe it could be from when I was younger, things that I've been through to help me express myself better. So
I think that's wonderful. Yeah, it sounds like she's a great support. And then you guys talk about ideas that will support you and that would support then the two of you together. I think counseling for everybody at different times in their life is really good. Certainly, even just being incarcerated and returning to the community, counseling would just be helpful, regardless of anything you've even gone through in your past. Although I think exploring those things would be helpful because it might be a light bulb moment where you realize why you engaged in certain behavior, and that might be what that realization might be what you need to really finally really get on the right track. But I think counseling, even just while you're returning home and going through that process, would be helpful just to have someone to talk to about how it's going and everything. I think you've got great ideas. I think you're on the right path, but I think that's it for my questions for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rosado. We're going to talk about your case now. So your part of the hearing's over, so just sit and listen. Board Member Chance.
So Mr. Rosado is rated high to reoffend, has completed 1 program, is in a 2nd program, and on his own took the addictive lifestyle, which is all good for him.
Mm-hmm.
He was employed. It only lasted 4 months within the last 2 years. And he really, for a young person, he has a 13-year criminal history, and he was on parole. That was a concern for me. This is his 3rd request to go out on parole. and he violated both of them. He was on parole for different reasons before. Today's consideration, as I said, is for the possession, and he's had so many of those charges
Yeah.
already on his criminal history. So for me, I don't find Mr. Rosado suitable today.
Board Member Keys?
I agree. I don't, there, with the failures before, the current offense being committed while in supervision, I was a little concerned with the relapse prevention plan. I don't like that he has a flat sentence of 10 years. So I would think, agree with a deny today, but maybe a rehear to give him more time so he can have some supervision before his end of sentence. His current estimated end of sentence would be, if my records are correct, would be January 2027. Give him some time with support in the community and supervision.
So we can try to talk me into that.
I
So,
don't like flat sentences.
so I was counting on you trying to talk me into that. No, no, so I do hear you on that it's a flat sentence. I don't like the fact that, we're bouncing back and forth.
Yeah.
On the last sentence, with parole supervision. But at the same time, it's like if he's struggling out there on parole supervision and he's trying to make it.
Mhm.
What do we do if we put him out there with no supervision and there's no probation to follow? I could his end of sentence is in January of 27. I could be supportive of bringing him back in May or June to do the last 6 months.
And I would like him to do that vocational training,
Mm.
because that has been the
Yep.
ongoing
Well,
problem.
he's a crack dealer.
Keeps,
Mm.
yeah, selling drugs.
Right. So
Okay.
that'll be his vocation. He's not going to be satisfied washing dishes.
No,
Exactly.
no, Yeah.
So,
it'd be helpful, for him to have some training, he could put on a resume
Right.
and then get some, pay taxes. But also then you get social security when you get older from the government. If you
Right.
pay taxes and you're working on the books, so you want to get that money back.
he's 32.
Yeah, he's got time. He's got time.
My last career started when I was 49. And before that, it was 39.
My mom's at
So-
70. She's
so-
like, why didn't I do this earlier? So there's still
So
plenty of time.
So there's, he needs to knuckle down and get
Yep.
some kind of something, because I can guarantee he gets out of here, they're going to have eyes on him
Mhm.
like they had.
Exactly.
So to see if they can give him another vacation at Cybulski. And it's like, it's time to get on with it.
So, again,
Yep.
I want him to do that asphalt training. It's the only reason why I'm going to
Yep.
agree for him to do the rehear and to develop a release plan.
Yep.
Okay.
So we want, and the vocational is on the OAP.
Yes, and he has the letter.
Yep. And so the OAP, other positive programming, no disciplinary reports. And we'll see him in June, May.
March. No,
We want to give him the last,
we have to give him a little more time.
so give him, see him in June, and then,
No, April or May, I think.
I'm leaning more towards more time on supervision, so April or May.
Yeah.
So April?
Yeah, okay, last one.
Okay.
Is he already got the letter? for the
And we
house
want, a more, solid release plan.
Yeah,
Um,
be positive programming, no DRs.
okay, and where are we? Inadequate institutional program participation.
Oh, I did, current offense on the inadequate release plan.
Yeah.
And then
Inadequate.
I did inadequate institutional because the vocation is
So-
on his OA.
So I got current offense on parole, inadequate release plan, inadequate institutional program participation.
Mhm.
That's what we have?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so regarding Mark Rosado, 371153. I move to deny parole today based upon inadequate institutional program participation, inadequate release plan, and the current offense committed while on parole. And to rehear this case in April of 2026, when we want you to come back, we want you to finish your OAP. The vocational part, if you can get that squared away. Any other positive programming and no disciplinary reports. There a second?
Second.
Those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. So, Mr. Rosado, we're giving you a chance. And
I'll say something.
well, you can hang on for 1 second. And this is a gift.
Exactly.
It's an absolute gift because your conduct on parole when you were out, coming and going, right? We want you to do something so you can be successful when you go out there. And now, sure, you can say something.
About the vocational thing, we don't have control of that. When you put in a list or something like that, it's on them. They kind of take their time. It's like, how you supposed to give somebody a chance or opportunity, and you telling me I gotta wait 6 months before my max out? That makes no sense. So it's like, how is that supposed to work? Or you put me on the waiting list, and then the waiting list take forever. So it's like, I can't guarantee I'm gonna do a vocational program because I have no control of that.
So then one of the things we also talked about is a release plan, right?
Yes.
So you need to set yourself up, right?
Yes.
So, the vocational program would be great. And you're right, we don't have any control over that. But try to get involved in something like that, or try to set yourself up for when you're released to do something besides selling crack. Because that's only going to get you one place, and that's where you're sitting right now. All right?
All right.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, time moves quickly on the Mandoo channel. We're not going to have to wait for time to go by. We're going to jump in right now to his updated hearing. And before we watch it, I want you to tell me, please do this. Y'all never do it. Do it now. Set the record straight, not in the live chat, in the comments section. Do you think he will have done the programs? Do you think he would have gotten a new write-up? Do you think he's going to get paroled anyways? I can wait. Let's go, guys. I ask y'all to do it. You don't do it. No one watches the videos then, and then you wonder why I'll stop posting one day. It's like your favorite restaurant. Oh my gosh, how come they closed down? It was my favorite restaurant. Well, when was the last time you went there? I don't know. A couple of years ago. Oh, well, maybe that's why. Maybe that's why. Maybe you should have left a Google review. That's all I'm saying, guys. Okay, I watched the live chat replays, and I'm asking for. I don't see the comments. Putting it in the chat section, that doesn't help the channel. I'll wait. You think he's gonna succeed? Okay. Let's find out. Let's find out. And when I say succeed, do you think he's going to get paroled the second time around? Do you think he's done his programs? I want you to articulate it. Okay, all right, let's proceed.
Mark Rosado, 371153.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Mark Rosado, number 371153. He is serving a sentence of 10 years flat for 2 counts of possession with intent to sell narcotics, possession of a controlled substance, assault second with a motor vehicle, illegal operating of a motor vehicle under the influence of alcohol or drugs, 2 counts of violation of probation with the underlying offenses of kidnapping second and sale of narcotics or hallucinogens. As of today, records reflect a parole eligibility date of August 22nd, 2025. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan, has been reviewed and shows the offender has completed the New Thoughts program since his last hearing. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation, New Thoughts program none since his last hearing. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score falls within the high range of risk for recidivism. This is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Morning. I should be granted parole. See, I'm a little nervous right now. Last time I came here was about 7 months ago. But I came last time. I don't think I was ready and had a plan to get parole at the time. This time, I got a plan this time of if granted parole, you know what I mean? I got a plan to go home and do some vocational things like construction or something like that. I looked into it. I also applied for the vocational vocational programs in the facility, which I'm on the waiting list for. I've been on the waiting list for a while for it. So I know they had gave me like a pamphlet of this program called the Best Chance Program out of Hartford, based out of Hartford area. So I know they do things like they help you get certificates for like construction, forklift license, flagging, and stuff like that.
Mr. Rosado,
Yes.
so you've been before the board before. You know what we're looking for is information about your efforts while incarcerated to change that would make you appropriate to be out in the community on discretionary parole. And I'm glad that you have some ideas of how you're going to spend your time when you're out, but I need to hear about how you've spent your time, especially since your prior hearing, which I did listen to.
So I spent my time was trying to reflect on myself and my life and how to better it. Obviously I've been doing this, it's not, not to brag about it, but I've been coming in and out of jail for a long time.
Oh yeah, since 2011.
Yeah, I was young then, and as I'm getting older now, you know what I mean? It's like it's gotta be time. This is it. I can't keep doing this. I'm 33. I'm about to be 34 at the end of the year. And so far, I'm not just trying to keep getting older, keep going back out there, keep doing the same thing and in and out of jail. So
okay, so you aspire for something better for yourself. What have you done to prepare yourself to achieve that? You completed the New Thoughts program. Why don't you tell us what you got out of that program?
Yeah, the New Thoughts program, what I got out of that is like basically it works with how to think better for yourself and how to think before you react to things.
You know what the program's about. How did it help you?
It helped me by trying to think before I act and think about my future and not to go back to my old ways and try to get, to better understanding for myself. So,
All right, well, are you ready for us to ask you some questions like last time?
yes.
Okay, so I'm going to start with Ms. Keys, who was on your prior panel.
Yes. Hi.
Hey.
So as you heard and as you reflected, you were not granted last time, but we did want to bring you back so that you could further prepare yourself. You were engaged in tier 2 at the time. We wanted you to finish that. We wanted you to, of course, not get any more DRs. And we wanted you to develop a release plan that incorporated how you'd remain sober so that you'd be, better prepared. You'd be out there with a plan. I think plans don't always go as you plan, but we wanted you to at least have one. I've really thought about it. But since that time, you did not finish tier 2, and you did get a DR for conspiracy to contraband A for arranging of your girlfriend send K2 into the prison, and then you were accepting payments through payment apps, you and your girlfriend for the drugs. So you started like a illegal drug trafficking and selling since you and I last spoke, sir.
Yeah, well, I know it sounds crazy, but that's not what happened. They came and got me like 3 times. They grabbed all my property one time and they moved me from one block to another block. They piss tested me 3 times. And they kept asking me what's going on. And I kept telling them, I don't know what's going on. You got the wrong person, whatever you're looking for. So the person that I requested some money from, we was gambling at the time. So on football. And they know that because they kept telling me, oh, well, I see on your tablet, on your messages, you keep putting tickets in. We should get some bets from you. I said, all right, I'll give you some bets, but this is what I've been doing. So I'm telling them, if he gets caught with contraband, how does that fall upon me? When I never get caught with contraband or whatever you're trying to tell me, you know, and that's what happened. We was gambling and I'll take accountability for the gambling. You know, like I told them, I'm going to SAG either way. I'm going to be in SAG. If I fight this ticket, I'm going to lose. It's a lose-lose situation. So that's why I had to cop out to the ticket.
So were you accepting payments for the gambling? The gambling was this money exchange. Is that where the money came from?
Yes, from gambling.
All right, but so it's according to you, it's not bringing illegal narcotics into the facility. And I'm just going by what you're saying at this point, but it's still this money transferring network thing that's not allowed, right?
It's not allowed. I understand that, but I'm thinking because I'm gambling, I'm not thinking otherwise of, okay, what happens if such and such, you know what I mean? But now I know that. So obviously I'm not doing gambling no more. So at least within the facility.
You did know before, right? You have been going in and out since 2011. You're not new to this, and I'm not trying to, but, I don't want to, not fair to kind of hope us to believe that you're naive to gambling and accepting payments and everything being against the rules, right?
Yeah, I know gambling and accepting payments for gambling is not part of the rules. I understand that. I know that. So that's why I tell you, I take accountability for that. That is wrong. I know I'm not supposed to be doing that.
What were the conversations with your girlfriend, the texts that the officers felt using code words and things? How did the officers end up determining that it was K2 coming to the facility?
Honestly, yeah, I can't tell you because there was no code words or not. It was just I called her and I said, yo, can you request this money from the person that sent 200 yesterday? And she did. And then that's when they came and got me 4 days later for it. So I'm like, what happened? What's going on? And that's when they tell me, oh, you're doing this with K2 and blah, blah. So it's like, and I told them I wasn't doing that with no K2. You came and got me 3 times. I don't got nothing.
It's a shame because your last hearing, you only had 1 DR for being out of place. And it was just going to shower twice, I guess.
Yeah.
So, and then you didn't complete tier 2, which we really wanted you to complete. Why don't you tell me first what happened? Why didn't you complete tier 2?
So at the time that I came to see her last time, I was still in tier 2.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I caught the ticket. So I wasn't able to complete it because of the ticket. But I thought the lady completed me because we only had, I think it was like a class or 2 left at the time. So before I caught the ticket, she said I completed it. So I had the paper and I lost it, like saying that I completed. So I believe she emailed the parole officer over here and told her that due to my DR, it wasn't completed. But over here, when I got here, I applied for the tier 4 program and I got the paper right here. I'm on the waiting list for it.
Yeah.
So I gotta wait for them to come see me to at least get into a program. It's the same thing with the vocational. So that's all I've been waiting for. It's not like I've been sitting here just doing nothing.
Well, so the note we have, according to DOC, because our office did follow up to try and find out, exactly what happened. And we have, quote, he ended up not wanting to go to tier 2. Then he caught a DR. He never completed the paperwork for tier 2, hence the dropout status. So it's according to them, you didn't want to go to tier 2 and that was before the DR.
But we only had 2 classes left. So I told the lady, I said, yo, if you could complete me for the last 2 classes. And then she said, okay, but then I ended up catching the ticket. So
Why would you want to not go to the last, if you only have 2 classes left and this was, you were granted a read-here, why would you not want to do the last 2 classes? 2 classes.
I know. Honestly, I don't know. I just got lazy, I guess. But
Yeah.
you know,
Well, Mr. Rosado, our records indicate you would have completed tier 2 on 10/6 and you got the DR on 10/7.
Yeah.
So you stopped going to tier 2 before you even got this ticket. So anything else?
Yeah, I don't have any more questions. It sounds like it was still some, impulsive behavior and things that are not serving you best. And so, sorry for that, but it's be where you're at right now. And I don't think it would be very healthy for you to bring you to the community right now, to be honest.
And I'd be concerned about the message it would send in the facility, that you can violate in every direction the recommendations of the board and still be recommended.
I'm the same size.
Okay. So inadequate program participation in evidence of offender change, poor institutional adjustment, and the offense committed on parole.
Exactly right.
All right. So in the matter of Mark Rosado, inmate number 371153, there's motion to deny parole for the following reasons. Your offenses were committed while you were on parole. Let the record reflect Mr. Rosado has left the hearing room before the board finished its motion. Inadequate program participation in evidence of offender change and poor institutional adjustment. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Parole is denied.
This concludes the hearing for Mark Rosado.
I need a break.
Okay, I mean, let's be real. That was funny. Thank you so much. Can you believe it? It would take for Miss Turner to finally say, I think it would send a bad message. But to be real, I mean, we have seen it happen so many times. Now, this case, I'm happy to see. He's not. I mean, like, not happy to see, but I'm pretty. I mean, problem is you never know when you have Miss Keys do the interview. That's the main problem. It's like Keys is like, being like this, like, so, white gloved approach, that's not so good. Yeah, you're such a good boy, but that's not really nice. And it's like she has and you just Turner just like gets pissed off and it's like, just never. And like she cuts into the hearing and just ends it. Like, what are we even talking about? Really, what are we even talking about? What are we even talking about? This dude, he had like 6 months to all he had to do is stay out of trouble and he does nothing. Not only that, but it's like it sounded like you should be catching a new felony or something for trying to smuggle stuff in. And it's like he had 2 classes left to take and he didn't even finish. I'm just not going to take it. This is what people need to see. There are some people out there that they really believe, prison, it's not. I hear more, you hear these people, prison is not meant for, I'm going to shut down all the prisons. Oh, really? It's like they think that prisons are the problem. They think that there's not enough rehabilitation programs. They think and you just need to watch these and you will finally realize that you are living in a fantasy, that you are projecting yourself onto these antisocial, impulsive career criminals. And the crazy thing is he's going to be getting out soon anyways. I wonder what's going to happen then for this man baby who can't even control his little smallest impulses. He storms out of there. Let the record show that he stormed out. Yes, let the record show. Like, that's going to make a difference. The inmates run the asylum in Connecticut. It's kind of funny though. Like he looks nothing alike. He looks nothing alike in the first hearing and the second hearing and in the arrest photos. I was actually confused. I doubted Sir Richard. Said maybe he got the wrong person with the same birthday. But yeah, it's just weird. But if you look at it, I just want to show you Connecticut, and they're two-faced, sociopathic. That's like the way agenda-driven way of dealing with law and order. Remember, Connecticut only shows 10 years of record stuff. They don't want the sheeple to see these records, right? The judge can see it, the DOC, but the sheeple can't see it. So within 10 years, this is all we get. So we don't get to see is 2010, 11, 12, 13, right? We don't get to see any of that. So 125/2017, assault third degree, unconditional discharge. Why? Why would you give a career criminal an unconditional discharge? 2 months later, interference with an officer, unconditional discharge. Possession with intent to distribute. Here he has the 10 years. Now, this 10 years, I don't know if this is like even when this 10 years takes effect, if this was where he violated one of his paroles. So it's like the 2-for-1 special, right? I don't believe he got 10 years. There's no way. This is just like a manipulation. And I'll show proof of it because 3 months later, he's out in the street with illegal operation of a motor vehicle. 6 months jail. Assault second degree of a motor vehicle, 30 months. That's the video we saw. So they let him walk here, and here, and then he almost kills police officers. They discharge their weapon. He gets 30 months, 30 months. Obviously, he doesn't even serve any of this time, or not a lot of it, because on 5/18/2022, he's possession of a controlled substance, 4 months. And then on 3/13/2024, possession with intent to distribute, 3 years. The whole thing's a gimmick. He's getting out anyways, 2/20/2027. And look, you just like when you go through it, it's just so long. All these arrests and search it as the research and the this and the that's. And he's getting out anyways in just a little bit. And what do you think's gonna happen? But whoever needs to see this, whoever needs to see it, you can come see it on the Mandoo channel. How many of you wrote a comment? You're going to have another chance to do it if you missed it in the last try. We're going to go watch another parole hearing. Okay. All right.
Demar Boxley, inmate number 373876.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Demar Boxley, inmate number 373876. He's serving a sentence of 2.5 years jail, followed by 2.5 years special parole for violation of probation with an underlying offense of a protective order and assault third. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date of February 16th, 2026. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows the offender is currently on the wait list for addiction services, voices, and domestic violence. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score falls within the moderate range of risk for recidivism. This is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole.
Okay. Well, I just want to start by saying good morning to everybody on the board of parole and I definitely want to say that I'm thankful for being here and given a chance, an opportunity to come before y'all today. I like to start by saying that I am sorry and I apologize for my actions and my past actions. I now see how my actions affected not just me, but people around me, my family, especially my kids. Me having a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old, I see how that me coming to jail affected them also. And not just my family and my workplace. Hold on. And also people around me. I came a long way to grow, and to better myself. Given the opportunity, I'm willing to work with parole, DCF and everybody else that I need to work with to do programs and whatever else that I gotta do. Also, I'm just trying to get back to work and back out in the community. My I'm sorry, I'm nervous.
You're doing fine, sir. Keep going.
My commitments is willing to get back, to do what I gotta do, for y'all, work, to continue me working out in the community and stuff like that, because I work in the community at a restaurant. And I have people there that, rely on me and stuff like that, not just them, my family. And hold on. I'm just trying to get back to the kids, because they really need me also, especially my wife also, with,
Mr. Boxley,
yes.
do you think you could focus your comments on why you believe you deserve parole? There are lots of reasons that you have why you want it, and other people want you to have it, but tell us why you believe you deserve it. What have you done to prepare yourself to be successful when you're back in the community?
I believe that I will be able to do everything that everybody wants me to do, including complete programs, not just complete programs, also, to be a better influence to not just the kids but, part of the community. That's another thing that I used to do. I used to work with certain parts of the community, and I feel that I'm not really a danger to the community, that the community can also help me better myself, in ways that me being in here can't. I also believe that I can complete anything that I put my mind and my goals to.
Okay. Well, Mr. Boxley, we've prepared questions. We'll take turns asking you those questions.
Okay.
I appreciate that you want to do the programming that's asked of you when you're on parole, but you really did struggle when you were out on probation. So we're going to look at that a little bit and try to figure out what was happening and why you weren't successful on probation this last time.
Okay.
Are you ready for us to ask you questions?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to begin with Mr. Pohl.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Mr. Boxley.
Good morning.
So our job here is to arrive at if you're suitable for parole. And how we do that is basically ask you questions about programming that you've taken and try to see where it changes. Okay.
Okay.
Your parole eligibility date's not till February, and you have not been able to take any programming. I'm not saying that it's your fault, but in the pipeline of things, you've not been able to take like major programs that some of the stuff that you were struggling with this morning, trying to speak about, right?
Yes.
Addiction services program, voices, and domestic violence program are really important for you based upon recent convictions and what you've done to be able to experience, provoke thought, and to bring about change. So, when it comes to asking questions to measure offender change and whether I believe that you're going to be successful in the community, I don't have a lot to be able to ask that's would have changed since the last time you were in the community and on supervision. So a couple of the things, you rate as a 3 when it comes to addiction services. It's really important to take a look at recovery, and what that looks like, right? Because if you use anything out in the community, chances are you're going to be sitting in khakis in front of the parole board again, So it's planning that out. And I didn't see anything where you actually secured or solid commitments for employment when you're out there. So those plans are really important for your success in the community or how you're going to arrive at that. So for me today, I don't want to spend a lot of time asking questions of things that I'm really not going to be able to see some good insight into. So as this board member, I really need to see you take those programs and come back and see us when those have been completed. And I don't have anything further than that, Chair.
Okay. Mr. Boxley, have you taken a domestic violence program before?
Yes, out in the world.
Well, what was the program and where did you do it?
At Rushford and Middletown, Connecticut.
What was the program?
I did building resilience. That's pretty much like good intentions and bad choices. I did a domestic violence class there before.
What was that called?
It was just a DV class. And I also did anger management out there in the world. I did, there's a couple programs I did at Rushford. And also I worked with Willard Clinic.
Where do you get your mental health supports in the community?
I go I go to a community health center.
And that's in Middletown as well?
Yes.
So one of the things that concerns me in reading through your interview with the parole officer is your fiance, Miss Costas in Middletown. That's where you want to sponsor?
Yes.
That's the mother of your 2 youngest?
Yes, and that's also my address. I've been living with her for couple years now.
Well, she's also one of your victims for your domestic violence assault, correct?
Well, it wasn't assault, it was pretty much threatening, but yeah.
So, in terms of the 2.5 years of special parole, you have to follow your sentence. And if you were to be granted discretionary parole before then, you would not be able to sponsor to her home until you completed a domestic violence program out in the community again.
Okay.
So when you look at coming back before the board and telling you this because you need a different release plan, you need to either have another sponsor or be willing to go to a halfway house.
Okay, but I was living with her on parole. On probation.
Well, I can't speak to that because I don't know what the terms of your probation are, but it's problematic, sir.
Okay.
You need to be able to treat your partner and the mother of your children with respect.
I know that.
And dignity, and you need to have the self-control to be able to manage your feelings, whether it's jealousy, insecurity, anger, without, threatening or acting out in an abusive way. And this is not your first victim. So you've had this problem for a while. And I think you need to do some more work to get a handle on it. So I agree with my colleague. We need to see you take some programs so that we have some confidence that you can be successful under parole supervision when you're released. Have you taken a fatherhood program ever?
A what?
Fatherhood program?
No, I haven't taken a fatherhood
Okay,
program.
well, that's something you could ask about there at the facility. You do have 5 children and you have some very young children in your life. So that would help you build your skills as a parent, stepping back into their lives after having been gone for a while. And if you do want to return to the restaurant in Middletown, in the kitchen, reach out to them, ask them to write a letter saying that they would rehire you.
I already got the job. They just waiting for me to come home.
Sir, we have no verification of that unless you secure a letter for us
Okay,
from them saying that they have a job waiting for you, whether it's full-time or part-time. You know, those details are important for us to have confidence that you've got, a plan in place.
okay. Who do I send that to?
You can talk to the parole officer after today's hearing and get that information. But more importantly, it's, completing some programs. Do you attend AA or NA there in the facility?
Well, I've been on the waiting list since February. They keep saying that I'm on the waiting list. So yeah.
Right, and we've been told that there are no waiting lists for AA and NA meetings. So get some clarification about that.
That's addiction services.
That's something that you could be doing to help yourself while you're waiting to take a tier program. Are you working a job there in the facility?
I'm on the waiting list for that too, for a tier man.
All right. I, appreciate that you are taking care of your mental health needs while you're there in the facility. That's really important. And understanding how those needs need to be met and how your substance use can interfere with you taking care of your mental health and the medications that you're prescribed. So thank you for talking with me, Mr. Boxley, Mr. Sokop.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Mr. Boxley. How are you today? So what happened during the assault in August of 23 that led to your incarceration?
A lack of me taking meds and stuff like that.
Can you talk about what actually happened?
Oh, you want me to talk about what actually happened? Me not taking my meds, having a lot of people, as family members pass away and stuff like that, it led me down, the rabbit hole. And also my mom being sick and stuff like that, having cancer, beating it, getting cancer again, beating it. My mom had cancer at least 4 times already, so, she's not really doing good and stuff like that. So, that's another thing that led me down, that hole.
Were you intoxicated at the time?
No, well, I say yeah, that will also let me not to drink no more and stuff like that.
So you were drinking?
Yeah.
You didn't say much about the victim in your opening statement. A man was assaulted, right?
Yes. That had to do with the reason was, I also is diagnosed with PTSD, for me getting stabbed. And like certain things triggered me. Me seeing my brother get hit by the victim, it kind of triggered me for me to do what I did.
Well, thank you, Mr. Boxley. Madam Chair, I don't have any more questions.
Okay, so Mr. Boxley, at this time, if you'll give us just a few minutes to talk amongst ourselves and sit quietly and listen, and we'll get back to you. Okay?
Okay.
All right, so I think I heard where you are, and I share the concern in terms of Mr. Boxley better preparing for success and suitability.
Reviewing the PSI, it just goes back to 2010 and continues with the DB and such. And, you know, he's managing a lot of things, and without programming, it's not going to go well on a release rate now. So, yeah, that's where I am.
Yeah. And I have a notation that part of the violation of his probation involved cocaine. So that is an additional concern for compliance, as well as his own mental health needs and the interference that illegal substances, the risk and interference it poses. So what are your thoughts?
I agree. I think the violations of protective orders against several women is very concerning. You can really use some programming, whether it's TV or a tier program or voices or really any kind of positive programming facility.
Your thoughts would be great. Yeah.
Thoughts?
And a relapse prevention plan. So I think I'm hearing, complete the programs on your OAP and other additional positive programs like fatherhood and new thoughts, and come back with a release plan that includes relapse prevention. So he appears to have an end of sentence date of February 2027. So February 2026 would be the earliest we could see him. But I'm going to recommend offsetting that till April.
That would give him a couple months on to try to get it squared away.
Yeah. And he does have special parole to follow. So. Okay. Are you comfortable with that? Okay. So, Mr. Boxley, we're ready with our decision. So I have inadequate program participation, inadequate release plan. Anything?
Inadequate.
For performance and community supervision too. On probation.
Right. We try to use dynamic reasons when we're doing a rehear, because there's nothing you can do about that particular piece of history. So, Mr. Boxley, in the matter of Demar Boxley, inmate number 373876, there is a motion to deny parole at this time due to inadequate program participation and evidence of offender change and an inadequate release plan. I further move to rehear you in April of 2026 with a recommendation that you complete the programs on your OAP and other additional positive programs. We mentioned fatherhood, new thoughts, AA and NA meetings, those sort of things, and come back before the board with a release plan that includes relapse prevention. Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You have a question, sir?
Yes. Some of them programs that they don't have here, so the programs that they do have here, if I complete them, could I do the rest of the programs out there, or?
We're going to rehear you in April of next year, and we encourage you to take as many positive programs as you can between now and then.
Okay.
We understand that some things are available in some facilities and not others. But the ones that we're talking about, the ones on your OAP, are available to you there in Osborne. So continue with your mental health and develop a strong relapse prevention plan along with a release plan.
Okay.
All right, take care of yourself.
This concludes the hearing for Demar Boxley, inmate number 373876. You're all set, sir.
Well, April 2026 comes around real fast, doesn't it? So we're not going to have to wait. It's the same panel as the last hearing that we saw. So we will have Turner on there. I'm going to ask you to do the same thing, please. Ladies and gentlemen, Mandalorians, please put in the comment section whether or not you think he will have done the programs, if he had new write-ups, if they will grant or not grant. I like to get your feedback. I'm curious to know what you're gonna think. And yeah, we're gonna go back in. I'll wait, guys. I'll wait for you to do it. We'll go over his long criminal record afterwards. It is just insane. Insane. I can't do, I cannot stand it. He has in his release plan to go to the house of one of his victims, an habitual DV or an habitual violation of protection orders, and that's his plan. By dear God, I hope that they do not ever allow him to do that. And I mean, if they do, you know that he's a classic guy that we see back in revocations. Anyways, he just fits the perfect thing. And really, what I don't understand, I will never understand what woman can possibly see in a man like that, and why they welcome these men into their lives over and over and over again. That in itself is a mental illness. Okay, let's jump in.
Demar Boxley, inmate number 373876.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Demar Boxley number 373876. He is serving a sentence of 2.5 years jail, followed by 2.5 years special parole for a violation of a protective order and assault third. As of today, records reflect a parole eligibility date of January 16, 2026. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan. It has been reviewed. It shows the offender has completed the Tier 2 program. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score falls within the moderate range of risk for recidivism. This is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Okay, Mr. Powell.
Hi, I'm Demar Boxley. I thank y'all, the board, for giving me the opportunity to come and for y'all today. I feel I should be granted parole due to my self-growth, my will to do better and to be better, and for my community, I learned from my right and wrongs. I learned more self-control in life, not just for my family, but the community. I'm ready to focus on what I gotta do to stay home. And for my future goals and my goals, for my will want to be 100% better in everything that I do. For DCF, I focus on working with DCF, doing what I gotta do for my job and for whatever parole or the board wants me to do, like program-wise, and to do what I gotta do to stay home, like parole. If parole wants me to do programs, I'm willing to do whatever programs y'all want me to do, and yeah.
Right. Okay, well, good to see you again, Mr. Boxley. I was on your hearing last August, so you know this process. We're going to begin questions this morning with Mr. Rodriguez.
Hey, Madam Chair. Since you were here before, you were required to do some things, right? What have you accomplished in that particular point in time?
What I've learned is, self-growth, learning how to communicate better.
Did you do that through programming? Because I didn't see any additional programming that you've taken. In fact, you were asked not to have a DR, and you got one right after your hearing.
Yeah, I did, but that wasn't that wasn't a faulty urine due to my medicine. I have paperwork.
But you were given a ticket.
Yeah,
I mean, that, when you're given an opportunity like that to be able to come back, that's a big thing for us. Because we really expect to even see you do even better coming back. You didn't take any additional programs during that period of time. You end up getting a ticket. I mean, I'm challenged by what do I ask? Because, other than what you've shared with us, you haven't really done anything else that I could see.
I also volunteered in mental health groups, which I've been doing since I've been down. But yeah.
I mean, Mr. Boxley, I hear that you're doing something, but what I don't hear is that you follow the recommendations of the panel that talked to you before. That's what I don't hear. And that's what I'm looking forward to hearing. Like, they gave you this opportunity, which they didn't have to do, by the way, right? They could have just denied you. They didn't have to give you a chance to come back. They gave you an opportunity to come back. So what I wanted to hear is like this really, this person who's going to be out there really doing this as much as taking a program, fighting to get into a program. That's what I wanted to see.
I've been fighting.
Because first of all, you got a serious history. Charges are serious. I mean, and I got to sit and decide with the panel whether or not it makes sense to let you out. Do you see my challenge in this?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, so I'm not even sure what to even ask you. You've got 2.5 years of special parole to follow. You're not done well in other releases. And I mean, tell me why I should be considering your suitability.
Because I'm willing to do better, which I've been doing better. I'm
sure you do it, because you don't want to be there, you don't want to come back. I'm sure of that. But what I don't see is the programs that you needed to take to be able to help you kind of get to that point where it would give you those tools that you need to be able to succeed on the outside. And that's what I don't see.
I've been trying to get into programs. I have proof of that. I've been on waiting list since March. I can't control what of them deciding to get me into programs.
Did you pull together a relapse prevention plan? Because that was one of the other requirements of stronger release planning.
Yes. My plans for when I do go home is, working on more things that I need to work on to be more involved in the community, like working at the soup kitchen, doing like getting myself together so when time comes to get my record expunged to work around with working with people in the state, stuff like that.
You've done treatment in the past as well, and it hasn't really worked for you either. I'm hoping you can understand like where I'm at this particular point. I'm really challenged by this. I'm going to pass on to my colleagues. I really don't have a lot of questions for you. I'm going to see what they have to say, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
All right. But I do wish you the best of luck. I hope that you do really concentrate on yourself and work on yourself and kind of try to pull yourself together and get the programs that you need to really kind of pull this off. Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Ms. Keys?
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
So the Intox DR, you didn't ingest Suboxone, it was part of your MAT? Help me understand.
I don't do Suboxones. I pissed and they said that it was in my system. The only thing that I do is take meds. I have documents of papers saying that my medicine could alter a urine test.
So you completed tier 2, but you said you didn't learn anything new.
Oh no, I did learn. I did learn stuff new. What I did learn is money management, problem solving, self-growth, toxic relationships. There's a couple more things that I learned too.
About something about your abuse of cocaine. Anything pop up on that?
Yeah, addiction, self-needs, what the difference of an addict and a user.
Okay, and which are you?
I'm not an addict.
You're not an addict.
No,
So you just recreationally abuse illegal substances. Yeah? You were on probation, testing positive for cocaine while you were in treatment at Rushford. So you were kind of undermining your own progress there. Do you have any intent to live clean and sober, or are you just okay with dabbling in drugs whenever?
no, I've been clean. I've been clean since I came back to jail.
Well, maybe since September, that DR was in August on the 26th. Do you have any interest in completing a domestic violence program, sir?
Yes, I've been on the waiting list since March.
Okay, I think that could be very helpful to you. So you plan to go back to a job in Middletown at a restaurant that you had before?
Yes,
Okay, it was only part-time in the past. Can you live on a part-time salary?
yes, until, I can also ask for more hours. The only reason why I went from full-time to part-time is because when I had my kids.
Well, that's when you actually need to be working full-time. Kids are expensive. All right, give us a few minutes to discuss your case, Mr. Boxley. Mr.
Thank you,
Rodriguez.
Madam Chair. I was really hoping to come in to hear more work that Mr. Boxley had done. The fact that he got a ticket, the fact that he hasn't done the additional programs that were requested from the previous panel. And I don't want to take away from the fact that he seems to be moving along, trying to do what's right, but I think that those additional programs have been very helpful to him, especially the domestic violence program. I think he still needs. I'm challenged with the situation today. He has that one ticket when he wasn't supposed to get a DR. So I'm a denial today. I'm happy to hear what my colleagues have to say in this particular situation. He's going to have 2.5 years of special parole to follow.
Ms. Keys?
Yeah, I agree. I'm a denial for today. I would like him, he has a history with DV, and I would like him to have the benefit of completing that program before he's released.
So we will be setting his conditions for his 2.5 years of special parole. I have domestic violence, no contact with co-defendant Tyrene Jackson, no contact with victim, initials JD. And I think we should go ahead with a halfway house because I'm not sure the living situation at this time next year is going to be still viable. So reasons for denial.
I'm sorry, I did have mental health evaluation treatment, but I'm open to,
Yeah,
that's my colleagues.
Oh, yeah. Inadequate evidence from change, inadequate institutional program participation, and inadequate release management.
I'm sorry, I was looking at the victim in 2020. I'd like to make a general no contact with AS. I'm sorry. You had-
Inadequate evidence from change, inadequate institutional program participation, inadequate release plan.
Offense on probation.
Yeah, offense on probation.
So in the matter of Demar Boxley, inmate number 373876, there's a motion to deny parole for the following reasons. Your offense was committed while you were on probation. You have inadequate program participation and evidence of offender change and an inadequate release plan. I further move to set the following conditions for your special parole supervision: behavior management for domestic violence, mental health evaluation and treatment as deemed necessary, no contact with the 2020 prior victim AS, no contact with victim JD, no contact with co-defendant Tyreen Jackson. Did I get it all? Yeah. Okay. Do I have a second? All in favor? All right. Motion carries. Parole is denied. So, Mr. Boxley, you'll go out end of sentence next February, and we set the conditions for your parole supervision. We wish you much success, sir.
This concludes the hearing for Demar Boxley. You're all set, sir.
I got to tell you, that was trippy for me, and I'll tell you why. I looked in the servicer spreadsheet before I saw the hearing, and I misread it. I thought they said that he was granted parole. So when I'm watching the hearing, I'm just like, how are they going to grant? I'm thinking of my unpacking as like, you see, I told you, Connecticut. But they actually denied, thankfully. I mean, can you even imagine this guy too? Another crash out hearing, just like what is he shocked that he didn't get granted? It's the craziest thing. It really is. I'm telling you, I have seen return of hearings. It can depend who's on the board. But I've seen it where the person still fails. You know, we just saw one. I'm going to be bringing it to you soon. This was crazy. Hardcore Chomo. He was 18. His sister was, I think, 9 or 10. And he did the horrible thing. And he goes to prison. And he's not like a normal Chomo because because he had horrible write-ups. He had a shank. He had a whatever they call it, the booze. I can't, it's slipping my mind, whatever they call it that they make there. And he did nothing. And like they're making excuses to grant him. But I think it's the Chomos. You know what it is? They do love to grant Chomos. It's something that they have about that. I don't know why. But anyways, let me just show you how insane this guy's record is. It really is wild. And remember, again, it only goes back 6 years that we're allowed to see it because they don't want sheeple to see things. They need to keep this inside, right? God forbid that the people of Connecticut know how dangerous someone is. 2/10/2016, criminal mischief second degree, 1 year suspended after 60 days. And you know that it's like, why are you suspending it, right? 9/21/2017, violation of probation, revoked 6 months. 5/3/2016, sale of hallucinogenic, 5 years suspended after 8 months. It's like, why? Why are you getting 8 months suspended when this came 2 months, 3 months after this one, where he got suspended sentence? So why is he getting suspended sentence here if he has a suspended sentence there? It never makes sense to me. 8/29/2016, breach of peace, second degree. 9/21/2017, this was a violation of probation, revoked 18 months. But you know it's never true because, I mean, maybe it was true in this case, 2017. Where's the next one? 11/19/2018, criminal trespass. I'm never good at math, but he probably never didn't serve the full 18 months, right? 90 days jail, suspended, conditional discharge. 2/27/2020, breach of peace, 6 months jail, suspended, probation 18. And it just keeps going. Violation of probation, for felony protection, violation of protection order, assault third degree, another violation of protection order, second violation of protection order, threatening second degree, interference with an officer, assault third degree. So his last one here is 12/9/2024. And he's getting out and no matter what, 4/17/2027. And I wonder what he's gonna do. I wonder what he's gonna bloody do. And there it is. I mean, we actually, to our surprise, really, it is my surprise, to my surprise, that they both got denied. They're both going to do their full sentence. And I guess the moral of the story here, of course, are the pathetic agenda-driven sentences. And then anyone who has the Mike Pole glasses on, like, whoever needs to see it, let him see it here. And thank you, Sir Richard. Everyone, please do thank Sir Richard for connecting the dots on all these hearings and providing the research. And with that, you know what? I was going to let you go, but we'll make this a 2-hour stream, and we're going to play a hearing that YouTube completely shadow banned. And that is I found it to be a fascinating hearing. HBO is supposedly doing a documentary on it. As you can see, only 1,300 views 3 weeks ago. So 99% of you, more than 99% of you, have not yet seen this hearing. He's basically was like the Tindler swindler, but an older version. He would get women to fall in love with him and then get money for loans. It's not just, it's pretty bad. Okay. So yeah, let's play it now. And you're also going to get to see the parole board members' faces because he takes this hearing out of the state of New York. So he's not on camera, but we'll get to see the parole board members. I know many of you are curious what it is that they might look like. So let's jump.
I've misused money. I don't believe I've ever stolen any money. I've never used any other name but my own name. My business ventures, okay, were fiascos, okay, but I've never used another name. I've never used a phony address. I've never used anything, okay, that wasn't my name up front with anything. And even, okay, when money was given, to me, it was done, okay, in my name. It was done, okay, through transfers, okay, for records. I'm just a horrible business person when it comes to certain things. So
Okay. All right.
that's why I don't believe I stole anything.
Okay, you answered my question. Can I ask why 4 different women have protective orders against you?
That's the case in New York. That's the documentary on HBO, and I don't know, okay, right? If you want to hear that, I mean, I had.
We made contact with over 10 women who claim that they went through the same thing as this victim did in this Greenwich case, saying that you said you were going to make an investment, they'd get 10 times more money back, and they never got it back.
You know what? I never said that, okay? Let them line up and come to court. Let them line up and come to court. I'm not going to sue them. Let them line up and come to court. All right?
Can you talk about those 3 cases, though, in the Manhattan DA's office? You have been charged with grand larceny, and you have served time.
This is 69-year-old Nelson Counne smiling on his way into arraignment in Manhattan criminal court. A man prosecutors say used his charm to romance and swindle at least 5 Manhattan women out of more than $1.8 million over a nearly 10-year period. 4 of the women he met on a 50-plus dating website and 1 in person.
Who else is getting Tinder swindler vibes? Maybe this man is what inspired the Tinder swindler. I mean, he is the OG, I suppose, of scamming women. He's accused of doing it going back multiple decades in multiple states and eventually convicted in both the state of New York and the state of Connecticut. And this is, of course, his Connecticut parole hearing, but we're not going to see him on the screen. And that's because he is also serving time in New York for some reason. he's in a New York prison instead of a Connecticut one. Maybe he likes it there in New York more. I don't know, but he's up for his Connecticut parole hearing. And what's interesting about this case is that he denies any wrongdoing. Yes, he took the plea deal. Yes, he's sitting in prison. Yes, it can't possibly benefit him to deny it, but he is. Maybe he has the HBO documentary to come in mind. And by the way, Sir Richard found other documentaries that have already been produced on this swindler. I'll put links to it in the description if you want to check it out. It will paint the full picture. We will hear from some of the victims, and man, this guy, he was just like a classic swindler. He found a way to pretend he was someone who he was not. His victims were wealthy women, and he's gonna he's gonna play victim here at his parole hearing. Let's see what happens.
Good morning. My name is Parole Officer Martinez. Today is Friday, March 13th, 2026, and this is the hearing of the Connecticut Board of Pardons and Paroles. The following board members are present this morning and by stating their names on the record certified they have reviewed all statutorily required documents and available pertinent information and preparation of this hearing.
Good morning. I'm Jennifer Zaccanini.
Good morning, Joy Chance.
Good morning, Alex Sarkov.
Good morning. All.
Please state your name and inmate number for the record.
Yes, my inmate number in Connecticut, I don't know it.
Your name?
Nelson Counne, Counne.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Nelson Counne, inmate number 441527. He is serving a sentence of 10 years, execution suspended after 4 years with 5 years probation for larceny first. As of today, records reflect a parole eligibility date of May 6, 2026. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. Mr. Counne has completed his food handling license, art program, and aggressive reentry training. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score on the SRT falls within the high range of risk for recidivism. This is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin, Mr. Counne.
Yes, I don't know what to I don't know what to say. I've tried to meet all the requirements. There was a massive strike in the state of New York here in the Department of Corrections. I wound up getting I thought it was 17 and they're not in my 70s. Picking up cartons of food products, and had a hernia, and for 2 years I've been trying to get the surgery done, but there's a lot of a lot of things going on in the state here after the strike. I developed a heart condition, which had something. Prostate cancer. I mean, I'm definitely feeling my years now, and I just need to go out there. If I can get this hernia fixed, maybe I can get a job in a senior citizen home as a as a food handler, which I'm very good at. I'm a great cook, and my cleanliness is over the top, and I enjoy working with people, and that's and I'm tired and I'm old, and I just want to live the rest of my life in peace, and what else? What else can I say? I'm I'm um, I'm still married to the woman involved in this case here. There's no divorce, no one's looking for a divorce, especially on her end. Bottom line is I still love her, and I haven't been in contact with her. I'm just to other people, I know that she's not well either, and this has been a curse on, well, I guess on both of us.
So the year 2020 rolls around and you meet someone. Who did you meet?
Sorry. Nelson Counne.
All right, Mr. Counne, thank you for your statement. We're going to ask you some questions, okay? And then we'll deliberate and give you our decision here today.
Yes, yes.
So typically, Mr. Counne, we don't parole people because they're old and tired. I mean,
No,
you
no,
were
no.
you were already older when you committed this offense. You really haven't spoken about your offense or any harm that you caused, or, we look for rehabilitation. We look for change. That's what we base our parole decisions on, sir. If you're not in contact with the victim, and you can't even call her the victim, she's not the woman in this case, she's the victim. How do you know that she wants to be with you if you're not in contact with her?
Well, we're not divorced. There were no divorce papers ever signed. She hasn't reached out for divorce. She was contacted by people and said that that wasn't what she was looking to do. So this is all I know.
Well, but there's plenty of reasons why people don't get filed for divorce. It doesn't mean she wants to be with you.
Well, I don't know that. I don't know that.
Right,
Again, like I
right.
can't
So
speak for it.
I think that's my point. But you just did. You said she does not want to divorce you. No one's looking for a divorce here. You just said that.
Yes.
So, Mr. Counne, why don't you tell us why you're incarcerated?
I'm incarcerated, okay, because of money, okay, that was misused, okay, for a project, okay, that I was looking to do,
Wait, I'm going to stop you. There was money that was misused. Who misused it?
I misused it. I misused it, and I don't know where to go with this. I am stressed, beyond belief. Okay, I've walked this in my head. Okay, I was contemplating many things. Okay, I'm just knocked off my feet. I just don't know what to do, how to how to handle this. I just don't know. I just don't know. I'm trying here, and I think about it every not every hour, okay, every second on the minute, every minute on the hour, and it just and it pains me, and it pains the fact, okay, that I'm a part, okay, from somebody who I care for. And I don't know what's going on over, on the other side. There's no way to.
All right, I'm going to stop you because you're not really making a lot of sense. Why is it difficult for you to say you stole money from the victim?
It's difficult for me to say that because I don't believe it was stolen.
Okay.
It was
Okay.
misused. It was misused. Okay. I don't believe it was stolen. Where is it? There was no lifestyle, okay, to spend money like that. There was nothing. So where is this money? My wife, I can still call her. My wife was suffering, okay, from fits of dementia. I've HBO doing a documentary on this. That's the only way I've found out anything about what's going on with her, and because they've contacted her. And,
Okay. All right. So you have a history of similar types of offenses, financial offenses. Have you ever stolen money from any woman?
I've misused money. I don't believe I've ever stolen any money. I've never used any other name but my own name. My business ventures, okay, were fiascos, okay, but I've never used another name. I've never used a phony address. I've never used anything, okay, that wasn't my name up front with anything. And even, okay, when money was given, to me, it was done, okay, in my name. It was done, okay, through transfers, okay, for records. I'm just a horrible business person when it comes to certain things. So
Okay. All right.
that's why I don't believe I stole anything.
Okay, you answered my question. Can I ask why 4 different women have protective orders against you?
That's the case in New York. That's the documentary on HBO, and I don't know, okay, right? If you want to hear that, I mean, I had I had legal aid attorneys, and I believe it, right. If there's money, okay, that I'd be accused of stealing, okay, was around, okay, and my lifestyle, okay, has not been anything. I haven't traveled. There are no overseas bank accounts. There's no spending history of me spending this kinds of money out there. No clothes, no apartments, no cars.
Sir, did you understand my question? Because I'll repeat it if you didn't.
Yeah.
Why do four, I don't think you're answering it though. Why do four different women have protective orders against you?
Well, they have it, okay, because that's what the court issued, okay. But I'm challenging this, okay. Like I said, like HBO is doing a documentary in this case, okay. And there's a lot of things that are open here, okay.
What is the allegation? I'm just trying to understand why four different women would have protective orders against you.
I mean, one woman turned around and said, okay, that I ate her food. I mean, I don't know. Is that stealing from somebody?
Okay.
That's the charge. I ate her food.
So these other four women are accusing you of stealing from them?
Another woman, okay, got paid back, okay, and then turned around, okay, and had me on, you did an article, okay. She said, okay, that we made passionate love and sex, and I never touched the woman. I was never near the woman, and like I said, in this, let it describe the scars on my body if we had anything like that. And then she turns around and said, okay, she blackmailed me for twice as much money, and that's in the records.
Okay, so in New York, you're serving a sentence for grand larceny and a scheme to defraud first. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and those are how many women do those charges involve?
4.
Okay. All right. So that's separate from your Connecticut offense. Have you ever worked a legitimate job? Paid taxes?
Yes.
Where?
Yes,
Okay, where?
Yeah.
Where?
I worked in the garment center years. I was doing, I was selling artwork, okay, which I turned around and I was, I was paying taxes on. There were things I tried to invest in other things, and they collapsed. It didn't work. I tried the internet. That didn't work for me. I don't have that kind.
Where did you work, sir? You're straying a lot. I'm trying to keep you focused here.
I worked.
Where did you work?
I worked for myself, and there were other galleries around at the time. They're gone now. After COVID, a lot of these places are gone.
Yeah. All right. Okay, for the record, the Stamford State's Attorney's Office objects to your receiving parole. They did send us a letter.
Okay.
Mr. Zarkov.
Think I have any questions?
Yeah.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Chance.
Questions, because I think you asked the last 3 questions that I had. So doesn't appear as if Mr. Counne, to be honest about, why he's serving time. So I don't see the sense in asking him questions that he's going to deny in terms of, the previous 4 victims and then the current victim.
What I'm asking, okay, is that if anybody, okay, were to read the charges, okay, and read what was over here, okay, the women, also I was sitting, okay, with legal aid attorneys, all right, who are looking for a deal, okay, and not to turn around and prosecute, taking this thing, okay, to trial. If I, I didn't even receive half the information. I didn't even know what was going on in Connecticut. In this case, I didn't even know what was going on when I pled out. I didn't even hear. In fact, I have paperwork, okay, for an appeal in this case to get this case reopened. Because I think it's a tragedy. Okay, I was sitting there talking with in 5 minutes, all right, in a broken speaker, a headset. Okay, came down into Connecticut. In 5 minutes, I was out of the courtroom. Not knowing what was going on.
I mean, legal aid attorneys are very bright. I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure they gave you good advice, and we read the police reports, so we know what happened. We read the
I went to the legal attorney's office, okay? I was going all the time to his office, okay, to find out what was going on, all right? The witnesses, all right, that we had lined up, okay? All right, there was nothing ever turned around, okay? I would have taken this thing, okay, to trial. I had no problem with that, all right? It was a New York case. One of the reasons, okay, why I held back was because I didn't want my wife on the stand, okay, being crucified, okay, by an attorney, okay, since the deal was being made in New York. But I'm sorry I did that, right? I should have turned around and, had her brought in from Australia, right? If she would have even come in. But my attorney, okay, gave me 5 minutes, okay, as they brought me in from New York to Connecticut, okay, to stand in the court and says, this is the deal and this is what they're doing here. And a broken headset, okay, over a phone, okay, that I was trying to hear him in, okay, and in 5 minutes I was out of the courtroom, not knowing what was going on.
Who is Nelson Roth?
Tried to reach my, pardon me?
Who is Nelson Roth?
That's my mother's last name. I only use that name, okay, when I'm making a reservation.
I had Googled his phone number at this point as well, which was under a different name, which was Nelson Counne. It was registered to a person that lived on the Upper East Side of New York City.
When you saw that, what went through your mind when you saw a different last name pop up on Google?
Fraud, scammer, something's not right, and she's in trouble.
Because my last name is Counne. Even the judge who was sentencing me, okay, all right, or the new judge that I got, okay, couldn't pronounce my name. And I'm tired of hearing Cooney, Connie, Canoe.
There are lots of people who get their last name screwed up, okay?
I'm gonna make a motion. Mr. Counne, you're of course entitled to appeal this case, but that's not our purpose here today, right? It is not our role. We're not here to retry the case. We don't want to go over the facts again with you. All right. In the matter of Nelson Counne, inmate number 441527, I'll make a motion to deny parole for the following reasons: the nature and circumstances of this offense, criminal history, and inadequate evidence of change. Is there anything further from my colleagues?
No, that's
all right. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, Mr. Counne, we wish you the best.
This concludes the hearing for Nelson Counne, number.
The phone turning off at that point was classic. You hear him slam the phone down. And this guy, we'll go over the facts of the case. I'll tell you for one thing. His victim who he's talking about, who was married to, who likes him and from Australia. No. She was a woman, the very young looking, attractive looking, elderly woman with the Australian accent. She is not happy with him. So he's just spewing every word that he says is a lie. The man is just a professional liar, a habitual liar. And I think that goes without saying and is really quite funny to see this guy, it just goes to show this is what he is. And he finally got caught up. He finally went to prison. We'll go over the facts of the case. It was nice to see the parole board's face. It was nice to see them making looks at each other, right? Like, oh wow, they're human. They're not complete lizard humanoids, because we're just so accustomed to them really seemingly not giving an F about those who come up in front of them. Usually they just want to parole everybody. But I guess if he was a chomo, they probably would have paroled him, to be fair. Maybe this parole hearing touched a little bit too close home to them. Maybe they could relate at a different level, since it wasn't children being harmed, since it was, more on the wealthy woman, I guess, being harmed. But, neither here nor there. I get that I am being facetious. He needs to be locked up. Frankly, he got too good of a deal at 73 years old, only a few years left on his sentence. You could probably say that's the cost of doing business. Hey, you can live like a multi-millionaire, live the best life for 20 plus years, and then, you do a few years in prison. That's that's the cost of doing business. I wouldn't be surprised if he would sign up to it, if he could do it all over again. And I'll go over I'll go over first from New York. So I thank you, Sir Richard, for pulling all the information on this case. And I'm leaving links in the description for the full documentary. I highly recommend you check it out. It was good, and it has less than 1,000 views on YouTube. I guess I'm not the only one who's getting shadow banned on YouTube. That's pretty crazy, right? I mean, I guess they played it also on a TV network. Maybe that's why, but the investigative reporter did a great job. So, yeah, go watch it, leave a comment. Hopefully, they don't copyright me on that because I hope that this is viewed as good advertising for them. If they were to copyright me, that would just be a brain dead move, but you never know in today's day and age. So, DA Bragg announces sentence of Nelson for stealing $1.8 million in romance scams. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg Jr. today announced the sentencing of Nelson. Why am I forgetting the pronunciation of his name? Hold on. Counne. There we go. AKA Nelson Roth, AKA Justin Roth. I only use that name when I'm making reservations. The guy couldn't help himself. That was the funniest part. All he had to do was admit guilt. So yeah, I was guilty. I had this problem. I blah blah blah, and the parole board might have paroled him. Not that it would have made so much of a difference because I don't really know what difference it would have made unless he's trying to appeal the New York case because the New York case he has a longer sentence. He has, let me just show it to you so you can see it visually. It always helps to see it. Thank you, Sir Richard, for pulling it here. He has 10 years suspended after 4, probation 5 for the Connecticut case, 9/16/2022. A year later, he then pleads guilty on these New York charges 1, 2, 3, 4. That's where he has the 4 victims, and he's given 4 to 8 years. So, had he even gotten paroled on this 4-year sentence, he still needs to serve 4 to 8 in New York. So, again, I don't really know how much of a deal it meant to him unless he could somehow get parole, unless 4 to 8, isn't a minimum in New York. Who knows? Who really knows that the way these folks work, or even the way the law is written, as we know better by now, so much of it is to gaslight the victims, and there is no truth in sentencing. So for stealing more than $1.8 million from 5 women through a series of romance and investment scams. On June 5th, 2024, Counne pled guilty to New York State Supreme Court grand larceny in the second-degree scheme to defraud in first degree. Nelson Counne used an expertly crafted persona and elaborate web of lies to convince women to hand over their savings, said District Attorney Bragg. At least 5 women were conned into pouring money into supposed investment opportunities while unknowingly helping him to repay previous victims and lure new ones. Oh, so he was repaying some. That's interesting. He had his own little Ponzi scheme going on here. Again, it is interesting that he's saying investment. Had he done this right, it probably would have been very difficult to convict him. But I imagine that we're going to see that he wasn't doing it right. He's just not smart enough, right? So let's continue to read. While the scale of his fraud is remarkable, romance scams are all too common. Okay. As admitted in the defendant's guilty plea and according to court documents and statements made on the record in the court between December 12th, 2012 and January 22nd, 2021, Counne, I'm already forgetting how to pronounce his name. Counne stole more than $1.8 million. Okay, sure. Okay, what am I doing? Okay, $1 million from 5 women using the same romance and investment scam. Counne met most of the victims through online dating applications using the alias Nelson Roth or Justin Roth. He purported to be an independently wealthy retired art dealer and investor with homes in London, Manhattan, and of course, the south of France. What would a dating scam be like this without saying that he has homes in the south of France? Shortly after entering the relationship, Counne presented each of the victims with a supposed investment opportunity. He refused to provide details, sometimes telling the woman that the investment existed in gray area between legal and illegal, and sometimes hinting that he had access to inside information among the purported investment. He claimed that he had access where Alibaba, as the company prepared to become publicly traded, and a startup company purportedly run by Counne and former Google executive. Most of the victims were initially hesitant, but he persisted until each agreed to invest. After the initial investment, Counne sought additional financial support from each of his victims. He justified these requests by saying that the additional money was needed for investment related expenses as paying fixers to ensure that the deals were completed and paying salaries and housing costs for the staff of the tech startup. Counne claimed that his funds were tied up in the investments or that his accounts were frozen due to the US and European investigations into his financial activities. What a dumb thing to say. I'm being under investigation for fraud, so give me money. You know what? He promised to repay each of the victims their initial investment plus a substantial profit within a few weeks. Again, it seems weird for like a honey trap type scam. You would think that he would just be able to get the money out of them without making up this weird thing, you know? Ultimately, almost all of his claims were false. Not only did he not own homes in London and the south of France, he has never traveled internationally and does not have a passport. He was not independently wealthy, and the only funds in his accounts were from victims of his romance scams. Instead of being invested, the victims' funds were used to make Counne appear wealthy to new victims and to repay previous victims who had detected his fraud. Assistant DA and Raymond Costello of handling the prosecution of the case under the supervision, blah, 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 investigation. All right, now let's wrap up with the New York Post article. It paints a picture on the sentencing, how things went down, pretty much what you'd expect. New York City's worst boyfriend lands up to 8 years in prison, nothing but a grifter, a master in disguise. Will soon be the worst boyfriend in state prison. Two women who had tens of thousands of dollars swiped by the smooth talking scammer Nelson Counne, dubbed the worst boyfriend of the Upper East Side, ripped the rogue Romeo a court Tuesday as a judge sentenced him to 8 years behind bars. At first glance, he's a perfect gentleman. Under those fancy clothes, he's nothing but a grifter, a master of disguise. See one of the con's victims, who identified herself as Miss Rachel in a statement read aloud by prosecutors at the 71-year-old con man's sentencing. Another victim, Miss Gerson, said that she'd have the last laugh against the man she believed to be the dapper art dealer at the Upper East Side fine dining connoisseur named Justin Roth, who took $50,000 of her money for a purported stock investment that did not exist. I want you to know you didn't break me. I still go to fine eateries, and you will be rotting in prison, Ms. Gerson wrote in her victim impact statement, also read aloud by the prosecutor. Counne, ever the con man, tried to dismiss his cruel crimes as nothing more than a misadventure to the judge, and even shot a charmy grin at her when thanking her for letting him speak. Justice Althea Drysdale was decidedly unimpressed and coolly shot back his prison term, a deal hammered out by the prosecutors and his lawyer. He must serve at least 4 years. Okay, we got the facts. At least 4 years, no more than 8 in the state lockup. He pleaded guilty earlier this month to second-degree larceny, another crime for luring 5 Manhattan women he met online for pouring $1.8 million of their savings into phony investment scams. Rachel wrote in her statement that he introduced himself as Nelson Roth and claimed to be in town from London on business and to have a home in the south of France, which he lives. She dated him for years on and off, during which time he took her money for other investments, which never amounted to anything. He once gave her a diamond wedding band to represent their engagement, she said, but she stopped seeing him in 2017 after finding out that he was living with a real estate broker that he claimed he was merely seeing to find Connecticut homes, and they lived together once they were married, she said. He was very charming, handsome, and wonderful sense of humor, Rachel wrote. In every restaurant, everyone knew him. It was like a fairy tale, and I felt in love, but eventually I found out that fairy tales don't come true. He does have a nice head of hair. That probably is a long way for him. Garson added that he used the credit cards and other women at the time he was living with me. A month or so later, there was a stock investment he wanted me to invest in. All I needed was $100,000, although I could only come up with 50,000, which I gave him. To this day, I've never seen a penny of that investment. When asked to give a statement Tuesday, he claimed that he was sorry for the pain that I caused and he took full responsibility, but then he can't help himself. Quipped, "Look, it was a misadventure." He's still saying the same thing at the parole hearing. I wonder if he actually believes it. I'm gonna actually share something with you pretty crazy in a moment about his background. He was charged with second-degree murder, and he was shot once, and his father was a gangster, so he actually has a long criminal history. It was cruelly done and wrongly done, he added, who wore an all-tan jail outfit and was handed and his hands were cuffed as he sat at the defense table. His lawyer, Danielle Marie von Lehman, I wonder where she's from, said he's been suffering from unspecified health issues during his time in the city lockup, where he's been held without bail since March 2023 arrest. Jail records show that he's currently housed in Rikers Island Infirmary. Nelson is a man who spent his 70 and 71st birthday in jail, Von Lehman told the court. He has accepted full responsibility, she added, before Judge Drysdale cut her off. Because this is all of his making. Is that right? The judge said. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg said in a statement, Nelson Counne used expertly crap, blah, 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 blah. And now let me jump to the final article that Sir Richard found that goes over his crazy, sketchy history. This guy is an interesting cat. He is an interesting character. I can see why HBO will be doing a documentary on him. It'll probably be pretty interesting. I have to admit, I want to see it. But do check out the documentary that I use clips because that was good too. That paints a pretty good picture. You'll hear from the victims of his crime and you'll see how they want nothing to do with him. But so the records show that he was accused of or the victim of criminal violence before. He was charged and acquitted. How crazy is this? He was charged and acquitted of second-degree murder at the age of 34 in 1980s in the shooting death of a jeweler in Queens. How did he get acquitted of that? He was charged with assault in Greenwich in June 2020 for allegedly striking a woman in a car. That charge was later dropped. I wonder if that was his wife. He was the victim of a shooting in 1990 when a gunman shot him twice in the chest on East 80th Street. A police spokesman said that at the time of the shooting, the shooting appeared to be a hit, according to the account of the attack in the New York Times, and no one was ever charged. His father, Jack Counne, I keep forgetting pronunciation, who was allegedly involved in a high-stakes gambling operation in Manhattan, was arrested in 1970 on gambling and later murdered in 1975 in his apartment. He was already being detained at Rikers. So as you can see, yeah, I mean, he's got a past, he's got a history, and it was interesting because in the documentary that I'll leave a link to in the description, the woman said that on their first date, she asked him what he did for a living, and he sits back in his chair, he opens up his arms, and he says, "I'm a gangster." And maybe there was some truth to that. Maybe he was a gangster at one point. Certainly his father was, it seems. Anyways, this was a different kind of case. I found it to be incredibly intriguing. I'm looking forward to that HBO documentary. He had to make sure we heard it at least 3 or 4 times. It's like the narcissist in him needed to make sure everybody knows that there's an HBO. He is such a mega narcissist. I don't think he has any insight. He doesn't realize that they're doing a documentary, but they're not gonna paint him in the light he's hoping to be painted in. And he doesn't even realize that. This guy is just like a classic criminal. Really, he should spend much more time in prison. He'll be getting out. I mean, at this rate, maybe I don't know how the New York Parole Board works. Maybe they won't if he insists on his innocence. Maybe they won't parole him. I guess we'll have to find out. And with that, I'll let you go.
Okay, like I said, like HBO is doing they're doing a documentary in this case, okay, and there's a lot of things that are open here, okay.
What is the allegation? I'm just trying to understand why 4 different women would have precedents.
I mean, one woman turned around and said, okay, that I ate her food. I mean, I don't know, is that stealing from somebody? That's
okay.
that's the charge. I ate her food.